Everyone nowadays is after great value for money propositions, and something like this, the Samsung A16, represents exactly that, or let's just say tries to represent exactly that. We're going to do a series of reviews around and videos around sort of Christmas tech that's affordable. It's going to be a series of accessories, add-ons, shorts, TikTok videos and reviews that will reflect budget tech that's a good value for money proposition in the lead up to Christmas. And first of all, we're starting off with this, the A16. So this is a 5G device, has a 5000 mAh battery, a 90 Hz refresh panel, a Super AMOLED display, and triple cameras on the rear, powered by the main sensor being 50 megapixels, which means this is insanely value for money when you factor in that's less than $200, pounds or euros. It's actually £199 here in the UK, and you actually get a smart tag for free as of recording. So please keep that in mind. But there's a ton here to like and enjoy, especially when it comes to the rear cameras. Powered by that 50 megapixel camera that's the main sensor. And then you get two other cameras, 5 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro, which make up that triple camera array. And on the front, you get a 13 megapixel camera. Now 1080p is the max output, which I guess to an extent you could say is a shame, because on some of the Redmi devices, which we're big champions of, they can shoot 4K even at this price point of around $200, euros or pounds. But overall, camera quality is actually pretty good. Generally speaking, you get that classic Samsung color science, I guess the best way to describe it, where it's slightly brighter than it actually should be, but overall photo quality is pretty good. Ultra wide is serviceable, then macro mode, 2 megapixels is your take, whether you think there is value to that or not. But overall though, the photos are actually in a good place. Moving on to video then, again, serviceable, 1080p, pretty good quality I'd guess for 1080p. Yes, it's not 4K, but 1080p is more than serviceable. And don't forget, this is a $200 euro or pound smartphone. So most people who are going to buy this aren't going to care too much. For them, it's going to be the core basics, things like browsing, texting, WhatsApp, the odd video call, and maybe the odd video here and there. But we've shown you some examples on performance as well. And we're going to start off by talking about gaming. The gaming examples we've got here for you kind of give you a rough idea as to the performance of the A16 5G. Now that processor alongside the RAM make it a relatively serviceable gaming device. I wouldn't say there's something that I would buy it particularly for. It does have a ton of the gaming functions, so like it actually has an app dedicated to gaming, and you can actually have customization options within any of the games, things like do not disturb and boosting frame rates, etc. But overall, I would say the gaming experience is serviceable at best. If you really push it, and you can see in some of the samples that we've taken here, you will notice that there is actually quite a lot of slowdown and judder, which can impact your experience. If you move away from gaming into OS performance, then it's, as you'd expect, 90 Hz panel on this phone actually runs the OS pretty well. But again, it is a lower end phone, the lower end processor and the lower end of RAM. It's not going to run incredibly well, which is to be expected. But overall, I would say the performance of the A16 is as you would expect. Yes, you would probably consider getting more RAM or a higher processor. Now the RAM option is 4 gigabytes. We don't have the 6 gig available here in the UK, so this is 4 only, with 120 gigabytes of storage and expandable storage as well, which is pretty good. If we move on to things like sound and video, we'll give a quick rundown of that. Video quality on that Super AMOLED display, 800 nits of peak brightness, is actually pretty good. It's probably the main highlight of the A16, which is one of the main reasons to even consider it actually over many of its rivals, is that very vibrant screen. Yes, screen to body ratio isn't great. It does have a reasonable chin, but then let's shut up basically and go through some sound demos to show you what the capability of the A16 is. So the A16 then, essentially what you're looking at here is almost a perfect representation of what we think a budget smartphone should be, especially leading up to Christmas. If you're looking to buy a gift, this could be ideal. And there's a lot of good points to display. 5000 mAh battery, 90 Hz panel. You get expandable storage. it's actually pretty good value for money, but there are bad points as well. There's no 4K video, which some may say that's no big deal. If you're one of those, fair enough. RAM-wise, 4 gig, and the processor both are at the lower end, which can impact things like gaming, for example, which is a shame. But if you're not going to game, this bit won't be relevant for you. And then the other component of it is the design. If you look at the front of it, when you unlock it, it does feel like an older designed phone. The U-shape cutout for the front-facing camera and then the chin at the bottom of the display, again, make it feel slightly old. But besides that, everything else is actually pretty great. And one thing we haven't mentioned is software support. Samsung announced this A16 5G will get 6 years of software support, which is insane value for money. How much that actually comes to be true, we'll have to wait and see. Whether that's OS updates or whether that's just feature updates, we'll have to wait and see. But overall, if you're in the market for a new smartphone for yourself, or you're buying one for your brother, mum, dad, sister, auntie, uncle, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever it may be, and you've got a pretty strict budget, but you want something that gives you a lot of those, like good screen, good cameras, good battery life, etc., then the Samsung A16 may well be the right phone for you. Thank you so much for watching. Till next one, as always, we out.